20 plus years, of experience in the CX and the NPS space. How have you found businesses effectively measuring and managing emotions during customer interactions? Is there like any specific anecdote that you have, or any specific emotion that you have found that was very intriguing for you yourself?
Yeah, look, in terms of measuring, I've already covered that off in terms of how they, need to measure it. Have I found a particular emotion really intriguing? Probably the one thing which is like, not a set emotion, but it's almost like what you actually deliver. I find that if people believe a brand and the people from that brand go above and beyond what you would expect from them, in other words, kind of like proactive, I suppose, um, that is probably the biggest driver in terms of loyalty and growth. So, if they believe that if something happens, these people will go above and beyond to fix it, that is the most powerful thing. So it's almost like a case of when we actually do this with clients, that is what we focus on primarily. Like this is B2C. Yeah. So the next thing is from a B2B perspective. Like I talked about above and beyond. From a B2B perspective, what I've found very interesting is that in B2B, everyone is a supplier. But if you move out of that realm of being a supplier and become a strategic partner, that has huge legs and that can really propel your NPS forward. So, I'll give you an example. We had a client who was a pharmaceutical manufacturer and distributor, wholesaler, and they were operating in a particular niche. And they were not doing over the counter things. They were just doing like prescription based kind of medication. So they decided that one of the things they would focus on is help their businesses, which were dentists and doctors, um, become better at managing a business. Yeah. So they changed a lot of the things around them, their paraphernalia, their brochures, and they became not just a supplier, but a strategic partner. So they try to help understand what their business objectives were. They tried to help them become better business people, gave them tips in terms of all that kind of stuff. And that really helped them in an NPS score perspective and in general growth. But it does differ in terms of B2C and B2B. So if you look at, you know, B2C as an example, valued, cared for, proactive, and go above and beyond is very strong. But B2B is very much around valued, but takes time to understand my needs, comes up strongly supported, being a strategic partner. Confident is a good one, with businesses. So those things come up. Yeah.
So, you did mention about how important it is for the frontline staff to feel the emotions that the company wants the customers to feel. But some might, have a different opinion, saying that probably it's even the technology that matters. So, what, in your opinion, or who, in your opinion, are the primary source of delivery of these crucial emotions to customers? Is it staff or is it technology?
I'm just going to step back. There are two key segments, I think, in terms of uh, attitudinal, behavioral type segmentation. Let's go back to my coffee shop example. There are some people who just want to come in, have a good cup of coffee, and leave, and that's it. All right. Now, and that's fine. You would presume all coffee shops do that anyway, correct? But then there are some people who really appreciate the fact that when they walk in there, there's a friendly ambiance, the atmosphere is good, the people are friendly, they know your name and all that kind of jazz, right? So you have to work on the basis that the basic stuff like making the coffee is hygiene. You have to do that anyway. And the person who likes just coffee will go anywhere and buy, and that's it. There's no two ways about it. But the segment you can work on are the people who do find all these things attractive. So now the same thing applies to whether you need the human element or you need technology. So there are some people, as an example, who don't want to deal with humans. They, take banking as an example. I want everything to work on my app. I want it to work perfectly. I don't want to deal with people, blah, 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 and I want it to be efficient. So their drivers are efficiency, right? So for that segment, you can make it as efficient as you can. Now, the trick is, because we all know emotions are important, how do you use emotions in technology? And you can if you're clever, So I'll give you an example. You have IVR systems and, recording and all this kind of stuff. And I called Disney once because I subscribed to Disney Plus, and I had a problem. And the person was very friendly, very, very friendly. Um, you know, Definitely the Disney brand came out in terms of talking to that person. And then I was put on hold for quite a bit of time. Now, what happens when I normally get put on hold? I listen to music, and typically it's boring music, right? Or sometimes it's a radio station. This time it was a little bit interactive. So they said, "Hey, what's your favorite Disney movie?" And I said, "Whatever." And then they said, "Oh, that's my favorite Disney movie too." "Oh, okay. All right. What's your favorite Disney cartoon character?" So, let's just say I said Mickey Mouse as an example. They said, "Oh, really? I like Mickey Mouse too." Now, here was technology mimicking a human being. Now, you can be clever and you can do it. And you've got to always remember that there are some people who deal directly with customers, and that's what they do. But there are other people in the background who deal with technology, right? But how do you infuse a bit of emotion into it? There are sometimes when I've used apps as an example, and you do something correct, and it says, "Wow, well done." Now, it is still emotion. It's technological. It's still emotion. So it's a trick in terms of how to do it. But if you ask me, what's the most effective way to transfer emotions? Nothing like human beings who are fully engaged in terms of doing it. But then, when you have technology as well, it's very rare that you can just rely on technology. So at some stage, something is going to go wrong with technology, at which time you need to speak to humans. And, humans can be like a bit of a rescue act when technology goes wrong.
Right. So, how can businesses, according to you, utilize emotions as a competitive edge? You did talk about the economic values of this, but how do they differentiate? How can they use emotions as such to differentiate themselves in the market beyond operational and transactional aspects?
Yeah. So again, I suppose when you look at building a point of difference, you know, there's a saying in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I think any point of difference is significant when everything is the same. So what he said before was a lot of people focus on the operational aspects. They focus on efficiency. Sadly, some of them focus on their own efficiencies as opposed to the customer's efficiencies. As an example, the other day, we had a small little accident with our car and we had to call our insurance company. We were on the phone for 2 hours.
Okay.
Now, why were we on the phone for 2 hours? Was it to deliver us a better experience? No, 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 no. It was to deliver a better efficiency experience for the brand. Now, after that, we said, okay, you find a repairer, and we were looking for a repairer close to us. The closest repairer was like at least 40 minutes away. Whose benefit was that for? Was it for our benefit or for the brand's benefit? They were probably saving costs somehow. So, in that kind of world, if someone is actually focused on the customer and makes people feel good, that basic thing itself will give you a competitive edge. And going back to what I keep saying about customer, you know, um, lifetime value economics, when you look at that, if you keep that in the back of your mind, you won't make these silly errors like making people stay on hold, for 2 hours. Because when you look at the customer lifetime economic value, someone like me, as an example, I speak at seminars and stuff like that. I tell this story about this brand, hundreds, thousands of people are going to know about it. The second thing is there's a saying that, people can match your products, they can match your processes, they can match everything, but they can't match your culture. Why?
Right.
because your culture is very unique and it takes time to build and ferment and become what it is, correct? It's the same with emotions. Once you have a clear cut set of emotions that you have planned, that you measure and you manage and you consistently make it better, people can't match that. They can try other emotions, but they'll be different emotions. So it's very hard to replicate. That's why it's a real um, competitive advantage. And again, going back to my coffee shop story, it's like, how much can you make coffee better? And that's what everyone is focusing on. How can we make the coffee better? How can we make it cheaper? How can we do this? But how many people focus on how you want customers to feel? So as soon as you do that, then you kind of struck a gold mine. It's the same with the airline business, yeah. So how much can you do in terms of saying, let's provide good food, let's make sure there's enough leg room and all this kind of stuff, right? And all that you can do, but costs lots of money, correct? But the one thing you can do, which is relatively cost effective, is create a really good human experience. Like, I've flown lots of airlines, and I can tell you one thing in terms of Singapore Airlines: it's consistent and it's
Right.
good, consistently good, and they do things that are proactive. Like, I'll give you an example. When you fly on a plane, you sit back and then you have a reading light on, and then you fall asleep. And what they do is they proactively go and put all the lights off if they see that you're sleeping. Um, if you order something, most airlines they serve the food, and then after a while they come and collect all the food. Yeah. But then if you collect snacks and stuff in the meantime, they just leave it the way it is. And then once they'll do one round of collecting. Singapore Airlines doesn't do that. Singapore Airlines is constantly on the lookout for what they can clean out. They don't wait for the rounds. And that gives them the edge. Choosing between Singapore Airlines and another airline, when we discuss it, we go, no, let's go Singapore Airlines. It's more expensive, but chalo, let's go. So that's how you get the edge, and surprisingly cost effectively, because when you change things, operational things and supply chain things, that can be quite expensive.
Right. So, as we conclude this episode, I'm sure we've realized the immense potential emotions hold in crafting unparalleled customer experiences. Join us again next week on the Strategy Edge, where we will be talking to Chris again on another very fascinating topic, which is CX or NPS scores without insights are meaningless. Discover why it's not just about the numbers, but the deeper insights that truly drive customer experience strategies to success. Thank you, Chris. Looking forward to your next conversation.
Thanks, Keith, and I'm looking forward to the next conversation as well.